Alright guys, here's your review for your Chapter 4 end test that you have tomorrow. So our first one here says to both solve and graph this. So we're going to divide by 5 on both sides. C is greater than 7 to graph it. I'm just going to put 5, 3, 4, 5, 7's in the middle, 8, 9, 6, 5 is greater than 7, so I'm going to go to the right hand side, and it's opened up because it's greater than. Over here, I need to solve and graph this equation. So I'm going to put my train tracks, divide. Actually, there's two ways you can think about this. One way you can think about it as dividing, but the other way that I like to do it is just divide by the reciprocal. Multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal can be, why did I put that there? My reciprocal is going to be negative 8 over 3. I'm going to multiply negative 8 over 3. Since I multiply by a negative, the first thing I'm going to do is flip my sign so I don't forget to do that. These cross out, I'm left with v, and then I have negative 8 times 4, which would be negative 32 over 15, which if I simplify that, that would be negative 2 and 2/15. Now to graph that one, I'm going to put my negative 2 and 2/15 here. This is going to be negative 2 and 1/15. This is going to be negative 2 and 3/15. Close dot, and then I'm going to go to the right. All right, next one. Let's see. Solve and graph times 3 times 3. Negative 12 is greater than x. So here's negative 12, negative 11, negative 10, negative 13. Negative 14, that's going to be an open dot, and then it says x is less than, so I'm going to go to the left. Remember, when your variable's on the right-hand side, you can't just look at this and say, oh, this is going to the right, and you go to the right, because in this case, you actually have to go the opposite. All right, so for this one, vertical lines, multiply by 4 here. Z is greater than or equal to 18 times 4, which is 64, I believe. So 64. 65, 66, 63, 62, close dot, and I'm going to go to the right because it's greater than. I'm moving right along here, solve the inequality, so I don't need to graph this one, which is nice. I'm going to add 12 to both sides. H is greater than 15. Solve and graph this one. So here's a two-step equation. I need to first subtract my 2 from both sides. So I have 3n is less than or equal to 11 minus 2 is 9. Then I divide by 3. So I have n is less than or equal to 3. 3, 4, 5, 2, 1. It's a closed dot, and that arrow should go to the left. All right, oops, can't do blue. Let's see. So here, we are first going to subtract 5 since that's a positive 5. So I have negative 7 is less than negative k over 2. Then I'm going to multiply by 2 to get these out of the way. So I have negative 14 is less than negative k. And then I can't leave k negative, so now I'm going to have to multiply by negative 1 or divide by negative 1. Either one works. So I'm going to have 14. Then I need to switch my sign, and then I'm going to have k. Make sure you flip your sign there, and also know that negative k and k, they aren't the same thing. You have to get that negative out of the way. So to graph it, it's a terrible graph, but we'll go with it. 14, 15, and 13, open dot, and it's going to go to the left since that is a less than. All right, next one is us dealing with decimals. So I'm going to add 3.8 on both sides first. Those cross out, so now I have 1.3m is less than, let's see, that would be, I want to say 2.6. Yeah, I believe that's right. Divide by 1.3. Those cross out, so now I have m is less than, that would be 2. So 2, 3, 4, 1, 0, open dot, and that goes to the left. All right, moving right along. For this one, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can distribute this 0.3 first to both your 12 and your y, or you can just divide by 0.3 first, whatever works out best for you. I am going to, let's see, actually, I'm going to divide by 0.3 first. So if I divide by 0.3, divide by 0.3. Now, the reason I do that is because I know that 4.8 divided by 3, I know it's going to be a relatively easy number, just because if you move the decimals on those and you have 3 and 48, 3 goes into 48 nicely. So 4.8 divided by 3, that would be 1.6. So 1.6 is greater than or equal to 12 minus y. And since I got that 0.3 out of the way, now I can get rid of those parentheses. Now my next step is to subtract 12 from both sides. And then I would get negative 10.4 is greater than or equal to negative y. And I just subtracted 12. I didn't divide by a negative or multiply by a negative, so I didn't have to flip my sign. But now I am having to either divide or multiply by a negative. The reason why is because I need this y to be a positive. So now I need to make sure to flip my sign. And then this is going to be a positive 10.4. So I have y is greater than or equal to 10.4. To graph, 10.4 goes in the middle. This is going to be 10.5. This is going to be 10.3. It's a closed dot, and then since it's greater than, I'm going to go to the right. So like I said, just to recap this one, there's two ways to do it. You can either distribute the 0.3 to both terms, or you can just divide the 0.3 out of there, since this multiplication right there. All right, 12. Which inequality has negative 3 in the solution set? We did one like these in class. There are two ways to do it, like we talked about. One way is you can solve all these for x. The other way is you can just plug in negative 3 for your variables and see if it is a solution or not. So I'm going to do it the second way because I think that's how most of you guys did it. So here, I would have 8 plus 3 times negative 3 is greater than or equal to 3. So this is 8 minus 9. So that one's not true. So A is out of the question. B is 9 times negative 3 minus 3 is greater than 11. So I have negative 27 minus 3 is greater than 11. That's not true. So B doesn't work. For C, you have 8 plus 4 times negative 3 is greater than negative 9. So you have 8 minus 12 is greater than negative 9. That is true. And then for 4, you have 4 minus 2 times negative 3 is less than negative 12. So 4 minus, what is this? That would be a negative 6. So 4 minus negative 6 is less than negative 12. So these are two minuses. That's actually a plus. So you have 10 is less than negative 12, which is not true. So your only answer can be C for that. Okay, your class sells boxes of chocolates to raise $500 for a field trip. You earn $6.25 for each box. Write and solve an inequality. All right. I'm going to go through here with my highlighter. I need to raise $500. You earn $6.25 for each box. Then I need to write and solve an inequality. Okay, so those are my important parts there. So I need to raise $500. So I know that that's going to be on the right side of my equation. And I want to think about what inequality I should use. So think about any fundraiser. You don't want to have less than your goal. You want to have your goal or greater than your goal. So we're going to say it's greater than or equal to $500. Now it's $6.25 for each box. We're going to call that B. So it's $6.25 per box, and we're trying to raise greater than $500 or equal to $500. So from here, we can solve our equation. And we can solve our equation by dividing, that point. Oh, why did that happen? Oh, man. Bear with me for a second here. I have no idea why I did that, but like I was saying, we can solve this equation by dividing out our 6.25 on both sides. So now I'm just going to have B is greater than or equal to, and we got to figure out what that's going to be. So I'm going to do 500 on my inside, 6.25 on my outside, move this decimal over 2, which means I need to move this decimal over 2 and bring it straight up here. Fill those in with zeros. So I'm going to see how many times 625 goes into, what do I have now? I have 50,000. So I'm just for the sake of time, I'm going to do this in my calculator. And I'm going to get 80 times exactly. So my answer is B is greater than or equal to 80. But what that means in the question is must excel or exceed. I also should have highlighted this, excel to meet or exceed. That's what tells you there's greater than or equal to sign. So is greater than or equal to 80, that means I need to sell 80 or more boxes. So since it's a word problem, I'm going to go ahead and write that. So sell 80 or more boxes. If you just tell me it's 80 boxes, that's not true because I can also sell more than 80 to get above my 500. So make sure you're able to convert that inequality into an actual sentence. And then that is all I have for you guys. Good luck on your test tomorrow.